Welcome into Nightly Scroll. Happy Thursday evening, everyone. Thank you to everyone in the chat for joining me. I'm Hayley Carania. If you want to join my friends in the chat and scroll with the homies, you have to do it on Rumble. We are Rumble exclusive here at Silverlock. So rumble.com/Hayley is where you can watch the show. It is the only place you can watch the show. If you want to listen, you can do that on your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Just search for Nightly Scroll with Hayley and you can join in on all the fun. Before we get started on tonight's show, I know we have a little bit of an inside joke in the chat about how, and among all of us, that I don't watch any movies.
It's a shame.
All I do is scroll on my phone, which is why this show is perfectly named Nightly Scroll, because it's really all I do. I'm constantly working for you, getting content for you, okay? But there are a lot of movies that I haven't seen. And even when I studied film and television in school, and I would be made fun of in college as well, because they'd be like talking about all these classics. And I was like, what are you guys talking about? Whether it was like The Godfather, Citizen Kane, like all these movies, Star Wars.
You're digging a hole.
And I'm like, whatever. Anyway, I graduated with honors because none of that really matters. But someone was very kind. One of my homies was kind enough to send me The Princess Bride, because this is one of the movies that I have not seen. And the note says, Miss Hayley, you give us great insight and content daily. Most of your homies are over 50. I present to you some of our pop culture from the 80s. Enjoy. I don't know who it's from. I can't read the signature, but I wanted to say thank you. I will try to watch this. It says, P.S. I hope you have a Blu-ray player. I do not. So this poses just a little bit of an obstacle. I'm not saying I won't watch The Princess Bride. I just will have to find a way to do it.
I've already spotted a couple on eBay. If you
Blu-ray.
If you want a Blu-ray player on eBay.
Okay.
And I think Justin's Xbox will work too, won't it? Does that thing fire up a Blu-ray?
Does it?
Yeah, thanks so much. There'll be a test after that.
Okay, well, maybe we can all watch it together, because I just bought this fancy schmancy new navy blue laptop from Apple. I can't even put a CD or a Blu-ray player in here anymore. So the technology has evolved, but I will do my best to watch The Princess Bride, and I just wanted to say thank you for that. So with all that said, got a big show for you on deck. As always, Biden has a mean streak and he uses it to gain power over his political enemies. We have seen him use it against Mark Zuckerberg, of course, President Trump, but is Kamala Harris next? We're going to get into it. Plus, Obama's border czar is questioning why we even need those migrant detention centers anymore. Interesting. I've got Epstein whiplash again. Apparently, President Trump has ordered Attorney General Pam Bondi to release everything, interview Ghislaine Maxwell, which has all happened, but apparently it's all a hoax again. So I don't know. It's hard to keep up with, but we're going to try. And we're also going to go into why I don't think we ever landed on the moon in tinfoil hat time. So all that and more. Put your phones on Do Not Disturb. Nightly Scroll starts now. I don't know where my tinfoil hat is. We've been moving stuff around in the studio today because we've got Vince in town, which is awesome. We're doing a big, what would you call it? Like a panel show tomorrow with Vince and Jim, and we're all going to be sitting in here tomorrow. So things have moved around, but we're going to find the tinfoil hat before we get into tinfoil hat time. But anyway, let us start with Biden and his mean streak. So as we know, President Biden, former President Biden, signed another 10 for the big guy, but this time it was in the form of an advance for his upcoming memoir. This is, of course, a desperate attempt to take back control of the narrative surrounding his disastrous term as president, his failed re-election campaign. He is going to have to remind people of his lifelong career in corruption. I mean, politics. And of course, he has to clean up the mess that is the dropout after his debate and how the handoff to Harris ended in a faceplant. So I think he'll try to revive his image as the clueless but endearing Obama sidekick, the memories of him and Barack making friendship bracelets for each other. And he'll try to, push the whole he's just an innocent grandpa eating ice cream image. But Kamala Harris is also coming out with her book called 107 Days. In it, she will also try to get people to forget about her failures and likely point the finger at how short the campaign was and how everything was stacked against her from the get-go. She never had a chance, right? So she's going to be pointing fingers at who? I don't know. Maybe Biden. She's going to pretend like none of this was her fault. And, she threw away all these millions of dollars, of course, for nothing. But according to Mark Halperin, he says that he has some insight that Biden is ready to turn on Harris if she turns on him. Watch this.
We talk all the time about, what did Kamala Harris know and when did she know it about his cognitive decline? I will tell you, and this has never been reported barely at all. If the Biden people decide that Kamala Harris is coming after Joe Biden, wait till you hear the Palin-esque stories about how much they tried to help her be prepared to be vice president and be in a position to run, and how much they decided not happening. She's not up to this. And if the Biden people feel threatened, you will hear stories about Kamala Harris as vice president that will not make her look good. Okay, so there's a closeness to the couples. It's not like they're at war currently, but I'm telling you, if Joe Biden feels threatened, if his people feel threatened by her, this is going to escalate in a big way.
I love Sean Spicer. If you're listening and not watching, Sean Spicer is on what they call the morning meeting, which is with Mark Halper and Sean Spicer. And Sean is like, he's like a evil villain waiting. His
chomping at the bit.
Yes, exactly. Like, oh my gosh, he's rubbing his hands together. Like, yes, I can't wait for Biden and Harris, this fight to start. And I do want to say that Mark Halperin teased that they have information on Kamala Harris that would make her look bad as vice president. I would argue she already looked pretty bad. So whatever they have, I'm excited.
Could you imagine?
Don't tempt me with a good time.
Yeah. How bad it was.
It's got to be really bad.
I mean, yeah. So
hold on
to your seats.
So I hope that Kamala Harris pokes the bear and Biden and his staffers, they get angry and unleash this. I would love to see this. This would be just very entertaining for me. So I say bring it on. Also bad is that JP Morgan and Bank of America, you may remember they debanked President Trump after January 6th. And apparently this is all per the Biden administration. So the exact reason for President Trump and his tens of millions of dollars being kicked off of the JP Morgan platform and then denied access to Bank of America has yet to be reported. But a source came forward to the New York Post saying that this was all because of threats from President Biden's bank regulators, and that basically they were saying that doing business with President Trump could put them in danger. It would present a reputational risk. So people told the New York Post, these sources told the New York Post, that it was Biden's banking cops at the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, the FDIC, and the Federal Reserve. These were the guys that were saying, don't do business with President Trump. We can't do business with President Trump after the January 6th protests. Interesting. Excuse me. Bank of America declined to comment. The New York Post reached out to B of A. They have said nothing. They reached out to JP Morgan. This is what JP Morgan said. We don't close accounts for political reasons. And we agree with President Trump that regulatory change is desperately needed. We commend the White House for addressing this issue and look forward to working with them to get this right. Which is interesting. They said we do not close accounts for political reasons, but if President Biden had said this could cause reputational damage, that wouldn't be a political reason. That would be a politician giving them another reason. So I think that they're being very careful about how they choose their words in writing this statement, probably because they know a legal battle might be ahead, right? But this sounds like a CYA mission if I've ever seen one. If you know what that means, it's cover your ass. And it seems like they are CYAing in a big way. And it's funny because they're saying, President Trump is right. We agree with President Trump. And, just a few years ago under President Biden, all of a sudden it was like, President Biden's right. So these people will just do whatever. Very messed up that these banks debanked President Trump. Also, January 6th protesters who, not all January 6th protesters, by the way, were violent. So if you are just upholding your First Amendment right and you're protesting peacefully, why were you debanked? That's insane. This also happened in Canada as well. But the fact that all of this stemmed allegedly from pressure from the Biden administration is believable. You want to know why? They've done it before. Do you remember when they threatened Facebook to deplatform people who pushed anti-COVID vaccine narratives? If you don't, here's the headline. So Mark Zuckerberg, he came out and said Biden officials would scream and curse at him when seeking the removal of Facebook content. Not just at him, but Facebook staffers as well, Meta staffers. So if the Biden administration could curse out whoever in the private sector and they would just bend the knee to them, I mean, why not try to debank Trump? It just proves that the Biden administration was capable of this. And they threatened anyone who was in the way of pushing their narrative. They fully censored people who disagreed with them, all the while screeching about how Republicans were a threat to democracy and the Constitution. Look in the mirror. I want to take a quick break to tell you about Blackout Coffee. You all know I love my Blackout Coffee. I'm a huge fan of Blackout Coffee. And if you're like me, you need that caffeine fix fast in the morning. And their new coffee pods are a total game changer. These aren't your average grocery store pods. Blackout pods are packed with fresh roasted, bold coffee made right here in Florida. They work with single serve pod brewers. So yes, fast, easy, and actually delicious. I start my day with Blackout. You already know I love the cinnamon flavor. It's so bold. It is so fresh. I absolutely love it. I like the cold brew too. So none of that more bitter, stale junk. Just pop in one of these single serve brewer, these pods. Boom. You've got a strong, smooth cup of coffee in just seconds. So whether you're racing out the door, you're juggling your kids, you're jumping into back-to-back calls, this is your new morning lifesaver. And the best part, they ship nationwide. So no matter where you live, you can have Florida fresh coffee at your door in days. Just go to blackoutcoffee.com/scroll or use code scroll at checkout for 20% off your first order. All right. I know we were just talking about Biden and we were just talking about Harris, the border czar. We have to go back in time and talk about Obama's border czar, DHS Secretary Jay Johnson, who is now questioning the need for these migrant detention centers. This is hilarious to me. It's so funny. So the numbers are low. I need to pull up this this headline here because let me find it. Because what he said is just crazy. And I forgot to put it in my notes here. So he was saying essentially that it's crazy. Like the numbers are down at the border. The numbers are down. So therefore, you know, we don't need the alligator Alcatrazes. We don't need these migrant detention centers, which, by the way, they had migrant detention centers when Obama was president. This is where the kids in cages all started, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, so Jay Johnson said, you know, I'd be interested to know the demographics of the people who are in these facilities. Are we talking about single adult males? Are we talking about families? Are we talking about small children? What is the average stay in these facilities? What can you expect if you go there? What are the conditions like? A lot of these are stood up by private contractors. What kind of guarantees do they make about cleanliness, about basic food and water? Anytime you surge like this, I mean, he's going in and he's going on and on. So now he's saying the numbers are so low right now. Just thousands of people crossing in a day. The numbers are very low. So obviously, one questions the need for this kind of detention space. It seems like what they're trying to do by having detention centers is to send a deterrent, to make it sound as ugly as possible. But in fact, the numbers are the lowest they've been in years, which is totally true, by the way. Yes, the numbers are low because this is what a functional immigration system looks like, Jay Johnson. And illegal immigrants are being detained for breaking immigration law. So to answer all of these questions, that is why they're there. Of course, we had all this uproar. If you remember, I covered this on Scrolling Time a few weeks ago, but there were leftists who were very concerned about the conditions at Alligator Alcatraz. All of a sudden, all these people are just worried about, well, what if there's a hurricane What if there's heavy rains? What if it gets flooded? It's like they've never had this concern.
What if the food isn't good enough?
I mean, they've never, ever, ever had this concern before. There were detention centers under Obama, under Trump, under Biden. I mean, this is par for the course. So now they're all concerned. And then recently, I should have covered this on the show, but I guess we just didn't get to it. But Governor Ron DeSantis said, here's the hurricane evacuation plan. You're all concerned about what we're going to do. Here, we're going to be just fine. Okay, so these detention centers, there's a need for them, and of course they are safe and all that. The reason why you need these detention centers is because the amount of border crossings was so high during the Biden administration. These people are being detained now. Imagine that. He says, this is the funniest part of the whole thing. He's saying, why use these detention centers? He's like, I guess they're using these as a deterrent so that people won't cross the border. These aren't just for people crossing the border, because if you're trying to cross the border now, you ain't making it in. This is because of your guys. This is because of the Democrats. You let millions of people across the border, and that's what the detention centers are for. Yes, the numbers are low because we're actually doing our job.
And we're fishing out people who they let in.
Exactly. I was like, this is so freaking stupid. Oh my gosh. And the reason why ICE is trying to recruit more agents with this $50,000 signing bonus, despite 830% increase in attacks on them, is not just because of the people coming over the border now. It is to get rid of all the ones that came over during the Biden administration. Wake up, Mr. Johnson. Seriously. All right, now also on the border front, President Trump is calling to redo the census. This is 5 years early, but he is calling to redo the census without illegal immigrants involved. Why does this matter? Because the census is responsible for how many electoral votes a state gets. This is what President Trump said on Truth Social earlier. I have instructed our Department of Commerce to immediately begin to work on a new and highly accurate census based on modern day facts and figures. Importantly, using the results and information gained from the presidential election of 2024. People who are in our country illegally will not be counted in the census. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Illegal immigrants can't vote. So why should sanctuary states like California and Minnesota and New York and Massachusetts and all the rest get more electoral votes when the population isn't representative of legal citizens who can vote anyway? If the census counted, by the way, I asked Grok, if the census counted only U.S. citizens for this electoral college, for this recount, high non-citizen states like California would lose 8 seats. Texas would lose 3 seats. Florida, I'm sorry, not seats, electoral votes. My bad. Florida would lose 3. New York would lose 2. New Jersey would lose 2 House seats and electoral votes. And then low non-citizen states like Ohio would gain 2, Pennsylvania gain 1, and Michigan gain 1. So Grok predicts, based on 2004 estimates, that this would shift 19 votes net toward Republican-leading states. So this would make a huge difference. And not to mention, it doesn't make sense to include illegal aliens in all of this because they don't vote anyway. So again, it just like fuels these, I'm going to put conspiracy theory in quotes about why leftists and Democrats want this flow of illegal immigrants to their state, because it'll benefit them.
And not only that, you think about the state that you mentioned that went into net positive right there. That's Michigan. That's Pennsylvania. All those are like absolutely major key states.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I want to also talk about the Epstein stuff. I know people are probably sick of this, but President Trump is basically calling the Epstein thing a hoax again. And he also called it BS. But here's the thing. Actually, let's just play it and then we'll talk about it after.
Vice President Vance hosting a gathering this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation.
Is he working on what?
Is he hosting some kind of gathering of top advisors this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
I don't know. I could ask you that question. I don't know of it, but I think here's the man right here.
I saw it reported today, and it's completely fake news. We're not meeting to talk about the Epstein situation, and I think the reporter who reported it needs to get better sources.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country. And that's just a way of trying to divert attention to something that's total bullshit. Okay? Yeah, please.
A new Gallup poll said.
Dang, okay. He laid down the hammer there. Interesting. This moment reminds me of the Attorney General Pam Bondi moment when they were in that cabinet meeting and a reporter asked Pam Bondi about the Epstein stuff, like the updates on where this case was. And President Trump kind of stepped in front of her, let her answer eventually, but was basically saying, this is, why do people even care about this? This is similarly, President Trump passed the answer off to Vice President Vance. And then he cut into after he answered and was like, and by the way, like, this is all BS. It's hard to keep track of what's BS and what's not, right? And I think President Trump isn't helping by saying that this is BS or it's a hoax, because we know that it's not a hoax. If it was a hoax, Ghislaine Maxwell would not be in jail and his own attorney general or deputy attorney general wouldn't go interview her last week. So it's not a hoax. This is real. The American people care. So I'm getting sick of the Epstein whiplash going back and forth. Like, we're going to release the Epstein files. Never mind, there are no files. Just kidding. We're going to release them. The case is closed. And then it was like, we're going to interview Ghislaine Maxwell because now people are mad at us and no one's ever done that before. So we're going to interview Ghislaine Maxwell, but it's a hoax again, and Obama's involved, and it's Comey's fault, and all this stuff. Listen, I don't care, but if it's a bullshit hoax, like President Trump says, then release everything and let us decide if it's a hoax or not. I don't care who's implicated. I say release it all, and then we'll see where the chips fall, but that's where I stand. So, and also this all comes, by the way, as apparently Ghislaine Maxwell said in this interview with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche that President Trump didn't do anything inappropriate in front of her. She never saw President Trump do anything wrong. So again, for President Trump to say this whole thing is BS and a hoax, was he just saying that the question was BS because someone asked that they were meeting about Epstein and they weren't? It all just gets a little convoluted, but I just think, especially if Ghislaine Maxwell is saying, not that we can trust everything she says, but if what she's saying is true and President Trump is not implicated, then President Trump shouldn't be saying it's a BS hoax. He should just be like, stick with the release it attitude, and I think people will be happy.
Yeah, can we, what's wrong with just being like, our guys are on it?
We're working on it.
They're on it. We're working on it. We're working on it.
I agree.
What I don't get the theatrics. Like Big Brother has to jump in for Big Little Brother, and then Little Brother has to jump in. I don't get it. But we know that they're working on it at the end of the day through all of that, goofiness.
Totally
agree. The people
agree.
are on it, and
we're working on it.
100%.
That's the thing though. I think he gets like defensive. Like he wanted to defend Pam Bondi in that moment. He wanted to defend Vice President Vance in that moment. So he just kind of gets mad. And I think President Trump does what he does best, which is put the media in their place. But in this case, they asked a question. The answer was, this is fake news. We're not working on this. We're not meeting on this today. Okay, so then leave it at that. But he can't, he has to kill the media.
I think too, we saw
enough.
this. I think we saw this out of JD in the Zelensky thing, when Trump and Zelensky were there, and it was starting to get a little bit back and forth, and then JD puts his hand aside right there on the president, and then JD goes after him.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely like a culture of just like that kind of like taking up for the ground. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
again,
they've got each other's backs. Which
they're
is
working on it.
Cool. Yeah, but they're working on it. So we'll see on that. All right, Stephen Colbert. He can't freaking help himself. He's getting canceled because of, well, we don't know for sure, but we can only imagine it's because of financial reasons, because the show is doing so poorly. We can only imagine that they're doing so poorly because of all this woke stuff, because anyone who goes woke goes broke. We know this. We're seeing this now with Howard Stern. We're seeing this across late night. The numbers are down, and certainly that was the case with Stephen Colbert. They were losing $50 million a year. They were employing 200 people, and they just weren't making their money back. So it's just not a lucrative show. It's not a smart financial decision to keep him on. So now that Colbert knows that he's in this lame duck session, right? He's in this lame duck moment where he knows that he's out in May. He's just going like full speed ahead with the anti-Trump stuff that got him canceled and canned in the first place.
It's a train wreck. He knows it.
He literally cannot help himself, but here he goes. We all remember the Colbert dancing vaccine segment that went viral during COVID and during the, And here's another anti-vaccine rant, again, this time aimed at HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Watch.
Oh, there's bad news of fans of living because Health Secretary RFK Jr. just pulled $500 million in funding for vaccine development. Now, we have 10 more months of this show, and I want to give a measured, nonpartisan response here. You roid-addled Nepo commie.
Again, his fans, the clapping seals, of course, they are going to say, they're going to cheer him on when he's being inappropriate, unprofessional, and not funny. I mean, this is genuinely just not funny at all.
No, and nobody thinks that it is. And that's the point that he's dealing with right now. Like, his ratings are so low that they've canned him. And it's just a slow motion train wreck of doubling down on what's not worked to start with, and that's fine. Go out with middle fingers in the air. But I mean, you're not funny doing it.
That's how you want your legacy. That's how you want to be remembered. Giving middle fingers and saying F you to Trump and all of his cabinet members. Like, grow up. Why wouldn't you want to end your career on such a high note where you are pulling out all the stops, the best jokes, the best guests? Like, if I was Stephen Colbert, I would want to give CBS and Paramount a show that would make them regret canceling me. I would, if going anti-Trump and that route is not working, I would do the opposite and make them regret it. But he can't.
The word that you've just described in describing how you would approach it, and then what is happening is his act is lazy. It is lazy.
Yeah.
Because that is the obvious stuff that you can do. Oh, I'm going to read a news headline and really just shoot the bird and swear. And then the laugh signs go off in the studio and everybody cheers. It's lazy comedy.
Yeah.
It's not funny. It's not thoughtful. It's not provocative or fun. It's just rude and stupid and lazy.
Totally. And the only thing in that whole segment that we just played that was maybe supposed to be a joke, and I'm putting joke in air quotes for people listening and not watching, when he said, this is news for the community that wants to live or something like that, basically saying that if you still perpetuating the lie that if you didn't get the vaccine, you're going to die, which is not true. We've all lived to tell the tale. What do you mean? Like, this is not funny. And not only is it not funny, it's not true. It's just not true. Like, you're lying. I can understand lying or fudging the truth to tell a joke, but it's neither one of those things. So it's a fail, and it makes total sense that his show is being canceled. He is not doing what would make CBS regret canceling him. Like, he is just doubling down and he's being stubborn. And it's, like you said, it's kind of a train wreck.
What do you think that sort of MO is happening across late night television? Just dump on Trump, lazy comedy. That's the low hanging fruit. And then, what does your staff just write that and then kick their feet up? There's no, like you said, there used to be interesting guests. And even when Jimmy Fallon was super interesting, he was doing the bits with the guests.
Yes.
And all of that stuff has to be sort of worked out. And the backstage of show business, like, you're thinking through this stuff and you're pitching ideas. Do you want to do this or no? Yeah. And none of that's happening. It's just lazy monologue stuff. And then he does the same thing when he's interviewing his guests. It's just redumping on the stuff that he's already dumped on. It's frustrating.
And you would think that other people in late night would see him failing and they'd be like, oh my gosh, this is a wake-up call. Let me try something different. Let me not go down that same route. They can't. Not only do they double down on the anti-Trump stuff, they're defending Stephen Colbert. And it's like, you should be using this as a yes, a example of what not to do. But they, whatever. Let late night fail. Hopefully something else funny will replace them. But anyway, speaking of CBS, we're still on the topic of CBS. This was CBS This Morning. That's what the show is called. And they were talking about the moon. They were talking about the moon and maybe colonizing the moon. Maybe we go up to the moon and we inhabit the moon. And of course, one of the hosts had to bring in the whole European colonization, gentrification, all of this. He had to turn it into something that it's not. So watch this conversation.
But if we want to keep growing a population, or if we want to live forever, all right, we're going to need another planet.
So is that the moon? Because I
don't want to live on the moon.
Right? Will it serve as a functional life source eventually for human beings? And B, we know how the age of colonialism worked on this planet. Should we be trying to colonize and saying that there's a keep out zone that not other countries can participate in having?
Well, the real problem with the colonization history in Western civilization is that there were people already there. Right? There are no moon beings that were displaced.
As far as we know.
Yeah. So, yeah. Inconvenient fact about colonization is that people have to be there. And of course, they're joking about, well, maybe people are already there. I would argue no one's been on the moon. No one's ever been on the moon. So
that's maybe not.
Yeah. So,
but that reporter, when he said that, he was just in his mind. He's like, "Don't cut to me. Just don't cut to me. I know it. I know I screwed that up."
Well, the point that he was trying to make was dumb and woke.
For sure, yeah.
He was trying to make the point where if we try to colonize the moon, we have to do it in this DEI ethical way, right? We can't do it in a way where other countries, what he was saying is if there's somewhat of an arms race, if you will, like a race to colonize Mars, he was saying, well, do you think it should be zoned off? Should we be the only ones who do it? And it's yes, that's an anti-American thing to say. Why wouldn't you want us to be first and the only ones to colonize Mars? Why not?
We're the first energy that's trying to go back. I mean, we're giving that energy to go back to the moon now.
What do you mean go back?
There we go. I'm trying to help you out here with this next setup. Look at me with the setup.
Let's get into tinfoil hat time. I put on my hat too soon. Now I'm wearing two. Okay, so let's talk about the moon. Because as Andy said, go back to the moon. I would argue maybe we've never been. I think that the moon landing was fake. I think it was propaganda. I think it was propaganda that we used to make us look like, the big bad good guys against Russia. We were the first, the only to apparently make it to the moon, which begs the question, if it's so easy and we did it in the 60s, why not do it again? Certainly we have more technology, better technology. Why not?
So there's a couple of little holdups here that make this conspiracy super interesting. One is, was it filmed by famous director Stanley Kubrick after 2001: A Space Odyssey? Some of the conspirators think that the CIA, the government,
I agree.
They brought him in to film some of this stuff, and it does look so cheesy and grainy and ridiculous, and so people hold on to that. The other one is there is a thing called the Van Allen radiation belt that goes around the moon. High amounts of radiation in it, and that all of our space station, all of our geocentric orbit, all of that stuff is inside of the Van Allen radiation belt. So a lot of people think we never got through that radiation belt.
I would agree.
To get to the moon. So those are two big conspiracy
I'm trying to look up what the name of the department was, but the CIA had and probably still has essentially a media program, a media department that is tasked with doing things like this. So they've got a whole, media apparatus, and they can make whatever they need to make in terms of propaganda. So I think that this is not beyond the realm of possibility by any means. Here's another thing I wouldn't call it proof, but I think it's another snafu for the people who think that we went to the moon. When we see Blue Origin have these flights, these celebrity flights that go to the Kármán line of space, like the beginning of space. Why is that an accomplishment if we've been further?
Well, because they go up and down. I think the big thing about those things is they're gargantuan civilian roller coasters.
I would say that, but there are, every time it's like a huge media spectacle, right? And they've got astronomers and all these people, all these experts. This is historic, not just because it's Katy Perry and a bunch of girls girl bossing in space, but they say, we've never done something like this before, or it's only happened, blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
but we have, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, I mean, totally get it.
That's what I'm saying. Because the moon is an average of 238,855 miles away. The Kármán line is 62 miles away. So if we have been to the moon before, which is however many times more, then going to the Kármán line is not impressive at all.
Not at all. No.
The only impressive thing about it would be that it's all women, which again, impressive in air quotes, all women, and it's, Katy Perry and Gayle King and like all the gals. They're going, and space has never been so glam before, remember? So
theoretically, hopefully, I mean, I don't know, hopefully is probably not the word, but like the idea is in the future that you could pay to go on that, and it's just a big civilian, you know what I mean?
It's like the Titan submersible that exploded. It's like the same thing in the other direction. It just hasn't exploded yet.
100%.
That's my, I'm not hoping that it explodes. I'm just saying it's like this thing for rich people to do. It's like a little ride.
The other thing is that your iPhone has factors of 10 more computing power than anything that was on Apollo 11, 12,
I have another question. You know how you go on airplanes and they make you put your phone on airplane mode because if your phones are not on airplane mode, it's going to, mess up some signals or whatever.
Supposedly.
They were all taking videos up there in space.
And they had some sort of like 8
millimeter. They didn't have to turn their phones on airplane mode.
Mechanical camera. Hey, and that joke right there is the main. That joke right there is the main reason that I think we should go back, is because let's get some HD footage, modern,
you would think
12K footage of what this moon is like, instead of the grainy stuff, and even the undisclosed photos that NASA has I guess the disclosure has allowed some of these photos to come, the FOIAs and all that kind of stuff. Freedom of Information Act has allowed us to gain photos. Some of them have shown that they're edited. They've been blacked out to make like the sky look blacker from looking at the moon towards the Earth. I mean, it's real fishy. It's no joke fishy.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it wouldn't be that impressive if we've been to the moon. So I just don't think we've been to the moon. Speaking of the moon, let's get into my tinfoil hat. All of these videos that I have found are moon related. So this first one, this guy is seeing something in front of the moon. Let's watch.
So I want y'all to take a look at this. Look at this in the sky right here. It is June 9th, June 8th, and I'm looking at this thing next to the moon. And what does that look like? It is either a planet or a UFO. It is very hard to tell. Look at that. Right there next to the moon. Y'all think I'm tripping? All right, check this out. Check this out. I'm going to zoom in. I'm zooming in. And what is that? It is now dead center in the moon.
What is that?
Come on, camera. Straighten out. Straighten out. Looks like a hole or something.
Justin says it might be a spot on the lens that is perfectly stable.
That's crazy. Look at this. That's definitely something.
I'm just holding for the suspense, then we'll cut out of
it. It's scarier with the scary music.
Yeah, I'll ditch it after this last chord.
If you are...
There we go.
Listening and not watching, it looks like an eclipse. But I Googled it, and there was no solar or lunar eclipse on June 8th, 2025.
Aliens.
That was the day that he said. So, therefore, if there was no eclipse, Justin said he thought it was something like something on the camera.
Like it could be like a spot on the camera, but your camera
I don't
would.
think so.
It would
'Cause he
move.
was zooming in.
It would move if it.
Yeah. and
Justin's
he was
now
zooming
withdrawing.
in.
For the record, he is withdrawing his
Withdrawing
statement.
the statement.
He is withdrawing his statement.
Yeah. I don't know. That is odd. If you are listening and not watching, it was this black spot right dead on in front of the moon. And it looked like there was some other kind of like glowy stuff happening. You know, these are my scientific terms that I'm using. Glowy stuff happening.
It's its own encouragement for people to watch us at 6
Yeah,
6 p.m.
You're going to have
live
to watch to see it because I can't explain it. But yeah, I don't know. I would say unexplained by me. So let's see the next one. This is supposedly a glitch in the sky. This woman is filming the moon, and it looked like the moon changed positions in the sky, as if there was a glitch in the Matrix. We'll watch this again. It looks like there's two moons, and then the moon switches from the right side of the moon to the left side of the moon. I would say this is a camera glitch. And Justin is agreeing that it's a lens flare. It is fun, though.
It's a glitch in the Matrix.
Yes. I was just going to say it is fun to think maybe there is a moon simulation and someone moved it or put it in the wrong spot or something. It is fun to theorize about conspiracies, but I don't think that that is a conspiracy at all. So this next one, though, someone saw 4 moons. Watch this. So there's the first moon. It's got a little pink tinge to it, I would say. Then another one behind it, more red. Then another one, yellow. And one that's white. Just these like kind of floating, glowing orbs in the sky. And I would say they look like moons, but someone in the chat, not in the chat, but someone in the comment section of that video was saying that it's those like red balls that they put on telephone. Why can I not think of what that's called?
Like the telephone wires.
Yeah,
like
the
cables,
telephone wires. Yeah. But that does not look like that at all to me.
It was Jupiter.
Justin says that it could be that it's one of those evenings where everything aligns and you see planets.
Would they be that close?
Well, define.
Yeah, Jupiter's pretty large, and you can see those with the naked eye.
True.
In case people in the chat didn't know or the audience didn't know, Jupiter is large, and maybe you could, but I don't know. That does seem strange.
I don't know.
To me
This
too.
one I
all
would
the
say
colors
is
are different. That's
unexplained. This one I wouldn't say is like a camera glitch or a lens flare. That was 4 separate glowing orbs in the sky. I don't think it's the little balls that they put on the wires. I don't believe that.
No,
But maybe it is planets. I don't know. That I can't explain. So we could just...
Justin, also known as Magellan, is in here looking at the stars and helping us coordinate whether or not we're, this. I'm looking at some photos right here, and
Let's look into this. Can you see, like, how many planets can you see at once? Can you look that up? Can you see more than one planet at a time?
So that's Jupiter.
Okay, so we can see Jupiter.
Yeah, so we might have been debunked a little bit here.
And we can see the moon. We can see, so maybe it is. And Google says yes, it is possible to see more than one planet, but 4? Oh yeah, it says not every planet is visible at night. It is common to see 2, 3, or even 5 planets aligning in the sky, especially around sunset or sunrise. These events, sometimes called planet parades or planetary alignments, are not rare. So there you go.
Yeah, look at Nostradamus right here with his feet up. Yeah, he's done his duty. Thanks, bud.
Thank you.
I think it's debunked.
I love it. All right, we've got some blind reactions next, right? So let's hit them. I'll take my tinfoil hat off.
Here's the first one.
Do we have anything Shrek related today? No Shrek? Wow, disappointed.
Yeah, we're having a little trouble on the Shrek front finding another food group that Shrek is appropriate in. But like,
we got meatloaf, we got cookies.
We got cookie. Yeah. Maybe somebody makes like a Shrek Sunday and sets it out in the sun, and we just like do a time lapse. I don't know, but like we're still. If you're out there and you can make a Shrek, we're here for it.
I think I promised the chat that I would make a Shrookie, and I haven't done that yet.
You did.
So, I'll
Right,
get
this is
on
a
it.
quick hitter, so you got to pay attention. Here we go.
Do you think you could initiate a ceasefire between Israel and Gaza by standing in the middle?
I think yes. I think that would solve everything. He would solve, world peace, world hunger.
Yeah, well, you're definitely going to have to burn some
could
fuel
kill two birds with one stone.
on the aroundage there to it's not attack.
Maybe he
straight
was one
ahead.
of the planets that we saw.
Oh. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he was skydiving.
Okay. Hit me with the next one.
All right, Justin found this one, and I think it's funny. But this is you. Are you ready?
Dude, have you seen this TikTok? Yes. What? I saw it. I didn't even tell you which one. I've seen it. Well, how do you know? Dennis, do you know what I do all day? No. I procrastinate. Do you know what that means? You start late on projects? No. I bury myself in this. Okay. And in this. All right. I want you to look at your phone right now and tell me what your screen time was yesterday. It's under settings.
I'm going to look mine up.
Yikes, that's pretty bad. What is bad to you? 4 hours. Is that all? Yeah? You're a child. What? I bet your brain still has wrinkles. All right, what's your screen time? The question you should be asking me is how many hours a day am I not looking at a screen? Are you good? No! I want to know absolutely everything about everything at all times. Maybe you should take a nap. Where? In your bed? Beds aren't for sleeping. Couches are for sleeping. Beds are for scrolling on TikTok and then closing out TikTok and then opening up Instagram and then closing out Instagram and then scrolling on TikTok again until my phone dies. Okay, what if we turned your phone off? Then I turn on the TV. Okay, so let's back up. All right, first thing in the morning, you wake up. What comes next?
Scroll.
I check my phone. Right. For how long? Until it dies.
Felt real. So he didn't, I was looking forward to him saying what his screen time was if it's so astronomical and he spends all day.
Infinite was his scrolling time.
Well, I would have liked to go head to head, scrolling time, screen time to screen time, because mine today, it says 13 hours, 40 minutes.
Today?
So maybe it says daily average. Today is 9 hours, 16 minutes. And the night is young. Let me just tell you.
The day is definitely not over.
I haven't even doom
Yeah, how many
scrolled
times
yet.
have you charged that thing?
One.
How much battery life you got left?
I'm at 58 right now. But when I am putting the show together, my phone always dies. So probably around 2 p.m., I have to go in and charge my phone. And then I charge my phone while I'm in the shower, getting ready, all that. Then when I came in the car, I plugged my phone in and it was at 20%, came here and it's on this thingy and this charges. So now it's...
So you have like built-in mechanisms that keeps your phone charged.
My phone never dies.
Wow.
My phone never dies.
Wow. All right, we got one more. Ready?
Okay, one more.
Hey, can I get an iced latte?
Sure. What's the name?
Kevin.
Is that your real name?
No, it's just easier to say Kevin.
Come on. What's your real name?
It's Karthik, spelled Karthik.
You got it. Coming right up. And hey, be proud of your name.
Thanks.
Hey, chai tea for cow worshiper.
I will say Starbucks, now that you can order ahead on the app, my name never gets spelled wrong. But if you leave it up to human error, every single time I go to Starbucks, it would be something Haley, Hailey, Haylee, Hailee. I mean, literally never Hayley.
Guy does this. He goes by Sean.
I don't blame him.
Which I thought was a terrible, because like 4 spellings of Sean.
That's true. He should have picked like
pick a different name.
pick like Michael.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or something that can't be spelled.
Yeah, like John.
Yeah.
But no, yeah.
No, because John is Jon.
Starbucks is Sean.
Sean. All right, well, you know what? Sean, probably higher success rate than Guy. Because if you asked me how to spell Guy before meeting Guy, I'd tell you I have no idea. Guy?
Truth.
Ghee. Like that's the only Guy that I know.
Ge. I told both of you this off camera, and y'all laughed at me. Like when I first started working here and working on the show, I would jump in and just try to open the chat for everybody so they could have some community before the show, and everybody was saying good evening, but they were doing it Ge. So they would say hello, Bongino Report, Guy, and I kept telling Guy.
They're saying hey to you.
Hey, dude, man, you're a celeb, dude. All these people are saying hey to you. But then I realized, oh, wow, I'm a noob. That stands for good evening.
No, I didn't know that it stood for good evening either. There was one day that I asked, I said, what does Gege mean? And you told me it was good evening, good evening. That's news to me. And I'm chronically online. So.
But everybody does love geese, so it wasn't that far fetched.
No. All right, what time are we at? Do we have time for questions, or should we call it? I've got 8 minutes. All right, we're going to answer some questions then. There were a few weeks in a row where I said, I'm going to answer some questions from my Instagram story, and we didn't get there. So we're going to get there today. That's great. Okay, someone asked me, what advice would you give yourself 10 years ago, knowing what you know now? And honestly, I feel like that's a hard question to answer because I feel like everything happens for a reason. So anything that I have been through, I think was perfect because it brought me to where I am now. And even if it wasn't right, I learned lessons that helped me get to where I am now. So advice, I would just say trust your gut. Trust your gut because I feel like my gut has done me well so far. Then someone asked me my favorite restaurant. And my favorite restaurant is Basil Leaf Cafe in Locust Valley on Long Island in New York. Favorite restaurant, family-owned Italian restaurant, amazing food. I just have great memories from there. I had birthday parties there, and I just have great memories. So whenever I'm home, that's a spot that I like to go to. Absolutely love it. And then someone asked me my favorite fast food restaurant. And this is hard because I do love fast food. I do like McDonald's. But I would say if I had to pick my favorite, it would be Shake Shack because I just think it's good quality. I like the fries. They're salty. I have had Five Guys. It's not the same. I don't think it's as good as Shake Shack. In-N-Out. I know this is controversial, especially for people on the West Coast. I didn't think that it was as good as Shake Shack. Maybe this is because I'm an East Coast girl at heart, so I have a soft spot for Shake Shack, but also the only time that I had In-N-Out, someone brought it to me, so I didn't have it there, so I will say maybe that makes a difference. But when I was working at Fox News, I did an interview. I wasn't interviewing the CEO, but I was working on a project called When We Were Startups, and we would interview CEOs of major companies about when they were just a startup. And did you know how Shake Shack was started?
Oh, I'd love to know this.
It was a hot dog stand, actually. So the city of New York back in the day wanted to clean up Madison Square Park because there was a lot of like homeless and, it just wasn't a savory place to spend time. So the city of New York wanted to make it a place that was a community hub again, somewhere that people wanted to spend time. So they commissioned an artist to make a statue or something like an art piece that would be kind of like a new revival of Madison Square Park. So this artist that they hired, the city hired, said, I want a functional hot dog stand in Madison Square Park. I want it to be an art piece. I want it to be a sculpture, but I want it to also be able to be a place where people can come get food. So kind of like a hot dog cart, very New York. So there was a 5-star restaurant, like a Michelin star restaurant across the street called 11 Madison Park. And she went over there, the artist, and said, if you guys have any like scrap food, scrap meat that you're not using, we want to use it to make hot dogs. So then one of the former chefs at 11 Madison Park started working at this hot dog stand, Danny Meyer, and they started making hot dogs. But because the quality of the meat was so good, it was like Michelin star meat, everyone loved it. So then they graduated from just hot dogs, and then they included burgers, which I think they're more known for now, and milkshakes and all the other things that they have. But it was a art piece installation. Then that was their first location. They obviously built it up where it's more of like a actual restaurant now and not just like a cart. But it was so popular that they had a camera out front, and there was a website, I forget what it was called, but people would log on to see the live stream of what the line was like. So people like finance bros who worked in the area would go online and see what the line was like and be like, okay, it's not busy, I can run and go now. That's how popular it was.
And so they went from art to slinging hot dogs to get.
That's it.
So Justin and I were wondering, is that the hot dog stand where you would go down and get your breakfast sauerkraut and mustard hot dog in New York?
No, I recently started eating that for
That was recent. Okay, that was recent. My bad. I thought New York, like it's still a vibe in the morning. Just go down and get a gut bomb dog in the morning.
We don't eat hot dogs for breakfast in New York, just when you're drunk, really.
We don't, but
I'm saying we as in New Yorkers, people who live in New York.
Okay.
You don't eat a dirty water dog. That's what they call them, dirty water dogs, because they're gross. Like the hot dog stands on the street, gross. Dirty water dogs. I would never start my day with that. But if I'm making my own sausage, great. There's a difference. Anyway. Thanks for the question. I just went on like a whole rant. Someone asked me favorite tequila. I would probably say my go-to is Casamigos, although I know that's not like a good tequila, but it's just a go-to for me. But I like Espolón. I like some other ones. I really don't discriminate. So I'll go with that. Someone asked me my favorite Bible verse. I would say Psalm 46:5. God is within her. She will not fall. I think it's just a good thing to get you through the day. And someone said favorite gym track or pump up song before a major game or podcast. I don't know what major games I would be participating in these days, but maybe back in the day, I would say Blow the Whistle by Too Short. That would be like my walkout song, if you will. I'm showing my millennial age, but that's a great song.
Too Short was like that. They were like a vocal group, right? They sang. Like, did they?
I think.
Or is he a rapper?
One rapper.
Help me out. Okay.
I'm gonna look it up. I don't know. It's just one guy. But anyway, if I needed a pump up song, it would be that. Before a major podcast, I don't have a pump up song, but maybe we should start listening to some music in here. That'd be fun.
I think I vibe with this guy's question. I think I'm just going to revamp it real quick though. What do you listen to when you fly into the studio on two wheels? 15 can we maybe that would be I'm trying to get an answer here for you, buddy. There's definitely something going on that. Eye of the Tiger or
I listen to a lot of rap and EDM. So it is pump up music, I guess. Yeah. I listen to music in the gym, obviously. I listen to music when I'm driving. But anytime I'm at home, I usually listen to podcasts. That's more of my vibe. And then last question, someone said favorite movie? What are you pointing at?
Just making sure that you answered this question.
Oh, favorite movie, because I can't say Princess Bride, although I do have it. This could be my new favorite.
It could be. It's a contender. It has been for 30 years.
Favorite movie. This is hard because I don't watch a lot of movies, as we all know, but I would say favorite, I have to go by genres. Favorite Christmas movie, The Holiday. Some people would say it's not a Christmas movie. It's one of those, like, it could go either way. Is it a Christmas movie or does it take place at Christmas time? I watch it every Christmas. So I say it's a Christmas movie. Love The Holiday. It's like a feel-good romantic movie. Love. Jack Black, Cameron Diaz, who else? Jude Law, Kate Winslet. It's just great. So I absolutely love that movie. I really like scary movies. The Conjuring series is my favorite. So absolutely love that. I did reach out. Did you hear about the occult museum owner, and now it is Matt Rife, the comedian. So he is now in charge of that Annabelle doll, and the guy
Is that in Vegas?
No, it's in Connecticut.
Okay. Wow. There's some sort of horror thing in Vegas too, but like maybe I'm confused. This is in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Ed and Lorraine Warren were like paranormal investigators, if you will, and Ed Warren was, I think, the only civilian person who could carry out an exorcism by the Catholic Church. So he was you obviously have to be trained in this. I know Andy is like shivering. He got permission from the Catholic Church to be able to perform exorcisms. They had very many popular cases. The Amityville horror case, they went around, the East Coast and did this. Anyway, throughout their entire career, they had collected all of these haunted artifacts, dolls that were haunted, whatever. And it was in their house, and they're long gone now. And their daughter sold it to this comedian and his friend. And now they're in charge of like all of these haunted artifacts. I don't know if they're equipped to handle this, but the guy that was bringing the Annabelle doll around, he just passed away recently. So I think it's very dangerous. I did reach out to the Ed and Lorraine Warren's grandson to come on the show because he is warning about this whole pass off to the comedian, and he said no. So anyway, I wanted to get to the bottom of it. And I did reach out to Father Rehill, who's also awesome. He was on the Sean Ryan show. Haven't gotten to him yet, but I really want him on the show because I love my scary movies and stuff like that, and exorcisms and all that. What else? My favorite rom-com, I would say, is Something Borrowed with Kate Hudson, and John Krasinski's in it. And my favorite comedy, I think, We're the Millers. I think is underrated. I love We're the Millers.
That's a good one. I'll give that to. That's a good one.
Okay. What movies other than The Princess Bride should be on my list?
Oh, well, I mean, basically all of the legendary ones. And so like you should watch The Godfathers.
Mm-hmm. I think I did watch one of them, but there's 3 of them, right?
No, that's good. Anything that like Justin and I were just talking about, like, 80s and 90s action. We're talking about whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
I have not seen Die Hard.
Have you seen Top Gun?
I have seen Top Gun, both of them.
Okay, that's great. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, all of that whole, that's its own little playground. All of that Die Hard and the years that are there, and then there's some good rom-coms in the early 2000s with Matthew McConaughey.
Yep.
And all them are fun there. So
and...
you know what I mean. But there's, everybody's got opinions on movies. But like I say, we need to chat to help us with the top 5.
Top 5. Give me a list of movies that I need to watch, must watch.
Maybe we do in genre, top 5 in genre, because it's just so abstract to be like, give me your top 5 movies, because everybody's
genre,
so Casablanca, stuff like that. You would get, Miracle on 34th Street.
I've seen that.
Okay, so but I mean, like, let's see if the chat will give us in genre top 5.
Top 5, and then that'll be my homework, and then we could talk about it on maybe like a Friday show or something. All right. Sounds like a plan. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Nightly Scroll. Of course, you have to watch it on Rumble. Rumble.com/Hayley, once again, is where you can watch it on the Bongino Report channel. Make sure you're subscribed so that you never miss a show. Of course, you can listen on your favorite podcast platform and follow me on social media at Hayley Carania, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye.